It's not often you hear President Joe Biden and Senator Tom Tillis agreeing on something. But right now, the Democrat and the Republican are standing firm together on our country's response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
American diplomacy matters. American resolve matters. Putin's latest attack on Ukraine was premeditated and totally unprovoked. He rejected repeated efforts at diplomacy. He thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond. He thought he could divide us at home, in this chamber, in this nation. He thought he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was wrong. We are ready. We are united, and that's what we did. We stayed united.
We have to come together. This is not a time when we have a threat like we have in Ukraine, and potential threats are miscalculations that could cause this to become a broader conflict. This is not a time to be partisan. This is a time to use every device of power, diplomatic and otherwise, working with our NATO partners to de-escalate the situation and get Russia out of Ukraine. I agree completely with what he said about the first 10 minutes of his speech on Ukraine. We need to come together. We need to work with our NATO partners and allies.
I'm Ben Briscoe. From now until 6, we're going to dig into America's united response to Russian aggression. We're going to look at what we're doing now to punish Russia, what our next steps could be, and the impact here at home from those efforts, including gas prices and Russia's threat of nuclear war. Starting with why Senator Tillis's view on the topic carry weight in Washington. Obviously, he represents North Carolina in D.C., but you might not know he is also the co-chair of the Senate NATO Observer Group. He's even attended the NATO conference before, so he's one of the leading Republican voices when it comes to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. The United States and our allies have already hurt Russia's economy. The sanctions in place now have caused the value of Russia's currency to plummet. You see, before the sanctions went in place, it took 85 rubles to make a dollar. Now it takes 102 rubles to make a dollar. To help really make that impact clear, think of it in terms of your own wallet. Right now, this iPhone 11 right here, it costs you $499. But if our currency dropped the way Russia's has so far, well, then the phone would cost you $602. The Russian people, they just can't afford as much stuff anymore. And that's if they can even get their hands on one of these phones to buy. Being cut off from the SWIFT banking system has meant that ordinary Russian citizens are not able to buy international products like the iPhones from the US, cheese from France, or luxury goods from Italy. And for those who invest, the Russian stock market has lost a third of its value over the past week. Critically, Russia's expulsion from SWIFT also means that Russians are cut off financially from all of their family who lives abroad. Last night at the State of the Union address, President Biden took the sanctions even further.
I'm announcing that we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia and adding additional squeeze on their economy. He has no idea what's coming.
And Senator Tillis says the longer this invasion stretches on, the more tougher the sanctions should get from the U.S. So I asked him today, what exactly should America do next?
This is the time to use every device of power, diplomatic and otherwise, working with our NATO partners to de-escalate the situation and get Russia out of Ukraine.
More sanctions could get costly for the U.S. Current ones already are. President Biden has said over and over that freedom has a cost. Even though the sanctions target Russia, it does impact us here at home too. AAA says gas prices jumped 26 cents last month. Gas Buddy says some drivers pay $4.50 a gallon. And Gas Buddy doesn't see prices coming back down anytime soon.
It's not yet known when we will see an organized drop at the pump. If the situation improves in Russia dramatically, we could see prices go down relatively quickly. If something were to happen, say overnight, oil prices could plummet on any development, any positive development in the situation. Beyond that, I don't see a normal decline in gas prices until later this summer or fall.
To try and counter the sanction issues, President Biden announced a plan to dip back into the oil reserves worldwide. He hopes that will ease supply issues and drop the price for you. As we put more and more squeeze on Russia, Senator TILLIS says we have to keep in mind how unpredictable Vladimir Putin can be.
They are a nuclear power, and I don't think he's a particularly stable leader.
Putin put his nuclear forces on alert last week. Most security experts think it's just an empty threat to get Ukraine's allies to back down. The Arms Control Association says Russia has the largest inventory of nuclear weapons, with about 6,200 of them. The United States is a close second with more than 5,500. The White House says it does not make sense for Putin to use nukes.
Russia and the United States have long agreed that nuclear use would have devastating consequences and have stated many times, including earlier this year, that a nuclear war cannot be won and must never be fought.
The question now, is Putin a leader that makes sense?
We have to worry about his reaction to losing. He's losing. He's already demonstrated in Ukraine that his aspirations to have superiority in a matter of days or a week or so is just not going to occur. So we have to be mindful of that and use diplomatic channels to try and de-escalate.
We need to de-escalate because there's another concern from Senator TILLIS that the conflict will go beyond Russia. It will expand out. He worries that China could see a weak response to Russia and try to take over other countries. That's why he supports strong sanctions on Russia now.
And for China to abstain suggests to me that maybe they think there are certain situations where a foreign nation like China, as Russia has done, may invade a sovereign nation and may take them over. So I want to hold China accountable on this. I want to hold Russia accountable on this.
TILLIS says that's why it's so important to use diplomacy to get China on board against Russia here. Most politicians across the aisle agree on sanctioning Russia. The move is also really popular among everyday Americans. A CBS News poll found 3/4 of people support economic sanctions on both Russia and Putin, among both Democrats and Republicans there. More than half support sending military aid and troops to Europe to help defend our NATO allies too. And the U.S. is not going alone on this. Today, the United Nations voted to condemn Russia. Take a look. Every single one of these countries with a green mark beside them are on board calling out Russia and taking steps towards making Russia's brutal assault on Ukraine stop.